very grateful that you all arrived here. As I've told everyone that came early here, I'm in our remote news van here parked at the Public Library of Comac, New York. And I am down here doing the last bit of cleaning and moving out all of the furniture and junk from my mom's house. We have sold the house and we're getting ready to close in a few weeks. So as a result, there is no internet there, but there is internet in the parking lot of the public library, which is closed. So I had spoken to them and they said, sure, just park in the parking lot. And the internet goes all the way through the parking lot. So I am here doing that and very grateful you're all here. And let's jump right into the topic. I was listening to an amazing woman. She's a doctor, PhD, behavioral scientist, behavioral psychologist. She's involved in neuroplasticity, and she's also a stand-up comic, and she's written a couple of best-selling books. And I was listening to her talk, and she just really inspired me to bring this topic up for us to discuss tonight. And she was talking a great deal about the pressure today that is put on us from the time we're kids to strive for this illusionary level of perfection and this innate sense of constant competition. We're in a generation that's, maybe one generation before or in front of the generation that started growing up, became parents, and then the pressure was on to get your kid in the right preschool, while they were still in the womb, and then, make steps so that they know what college they're going to go to when they're in the second grade. And, this pressure to compete, this pressure to, exceed expectations and achieve perfection in everything. Your appearance, your grades, your bank account, your job, your mate, the car you drive, and the pressure just goes on and on and on and on. And so, when I was creating the Your 9 Steps program for Goal Achievement Mastery, one of the things was the importance of us being able to stop that cycle of being paralyzed by the perception that we need to be perfect, and instead switch our attention over to making small, tiny steps of improvement over wherever we are, whatever improvement means to you, right? And also getting rid of this aversion to failing or making mistakes. Because this is all wrapped up in this, I'll call it the perfection prison that people find themselves in. And it becomes a real psychological handicap. It is especially prevalent in competitive athletes, where they literally have to have psychologists and special coaches and trainers deal with their quest for perfection, that nothing is good enough, right? This, for many people, leads to many eating disorders, where, and you've all read in the papers and seen videos and specials about, wonderful, beautiful people who get caught in this pressure prison of perfection, and that they never look good enough, right? They're never thin enough. They're never pretty enough or handsome enough. And this starts this pattern going on in their brain and in their minds, which can have catastrophic and even deadly repercussions. Now, that's the extreme end. The lesser but still problematic is where we are constantly caught on that hamster wheel of expecting to be perfect in everything we do. Expecting to be perfect and not make any mistakes in school or in our jobs or at home. So I wanted to switch the attention to, number one, looking at how can we take tiny steps each day to just do a little bit better than the day before at whatever it is you choose to improve on. I don't make any expectations, nor, do we want to have a whole lot of expectations, but we do want to have a few, because we know that if we don't continue to move forward and evolve, we move backwards and decay. And you're all familiar with all of the neurological studies that are going on right now about the importance and about neuroplasticity, the importance of keeping ourselves active and the importance of keeping ourselves engaged and looking at making little steps of progress in every aspect of our health: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. The second part of this is the importance I want to discuss about balancing this by understanding that we all have our own levels of genius, our own levels of greatness, our own superpowers. And so it's important that we recognize those, we embrace those, and we celebrate those, rather than continually comparing ourselves to someone else. I don't know if those of you out there who've had siblings, did you ever run into that situation where, why can't you be like so-and-so? Or maybe you had relatives or your parents' friends' children, and, why can't you be like so-and-so? They're so this, they're so that, they've done this, they've done that, right? And the real sadness of that is when other people don't take the time to recognize our own geniuses, our own talents, right, our own superpowers, we begin to forget that they're there and we stop valuing them. And I think that's one of the biggest crimes that there can possibly be against humanity, against ourselves, where we stop recognizing that each one of us is special, is unique, and has special and unique abilities and talents that we can embrace and really help make our lives and the lives of others better. And if we do it enough, it can actually make our world better. So with that, I want to open this up because, we've discussed in the past, how do we do this? Well, by using that Goal Achievement Mastery Journal, because, in there each day is, what are my goals for today, right? What's going to make today extraordinary, right? And then also in the Your 9 Steps for Goal Achievement Mastery program that you all took, it's right there in step number 1, the assessment step. I ask you to take a look at what are your values, right? Because your values are part of your superpowers, right? The things that you hold important, the things that you hold sacred, the things that you hold as necessary for you to live a balanced and whole life. The fact that you have values that keep you taking the higher path, that's a superpower. And when you look around in the world and there's so many lost people and there's so many people doing, the wrong thing, and that goes from the person on the street to the person in government, right? We've lost a sense, our cultures have lost a sense of values and of our connection with each other, right? So those of us who are striving to stay awake and become more awake, we want to pay more attention to what are those values and virtues that we hold dear, because that's one of our superpowers, right? Another superpower is, what are your interests? What really excites you? What are your hobbies, right? What are the creative things that you do that bring you joy? When you do something that brings joy, not only does that unleash an incredible mixture of beautiful, positive chemicals and hormones within your brain and within your body that are actually stimulating growth, stimulating intelligence, stimulating creativity, but they're stimulating health and well-being. Just by finding the things that bring you joy and doing them and then sharing them with others, then that takes it to a whole nother level, right? So it's important that we not lose touch with getting so busy, we forget what is it that brings us joy, right? What makes our heart sing? What can we do that we do with all of our attention and all of our heart, and it lights us up? And when we get lit up, it lights up those around us. Every time I do a session, every time I do a Sunday mastermind, every time I do a coaching, every time I record an episode for an online course, it brings me so much joy because I'm so passionate about serving you and serving the people that it will touch. And because I've been doing it for a long time, I've developed some skills, I've developed some talent, but my enthusiasm keeps growing, right? And because I'm more and more enthusiastic, I'm more energetic about it, I'm more creative about it, and I want to do it more. I want to deliver more and more of it, and I'm in the process of doing that, creating more courses and expanding my reach to different populations of people. So that's another thing to focus on. And what lights you up? What are you passionate about? What brings you joy? Because I'm going to ask you to think about these things and write them down, and then we're going to discuss them together. So the questions we're going to discuss are just that, right? What lights you up? What brings you joy, right? What values and virtues make you tick? What do you draw on for inspiration to do the right thing and to do something and to strive to improve a little bit, but do it because it makes a difference in your life and the life of others, right? It doesn't have to be some big official thing. It doesn't have to be a thing that you're even recognized for. Just has to be something you do because you love to do it and it touches someone else. So what is that for you? And then what are you afraid of, right? Every day being able to look at and examine, okay, today, what am I doing or not doing because of fear? Where am I going or not going because of fear? Who am I connecting with or not connecting with and avoiding because of fear? What expectation do I have for myself, or what expectation do I not have for myself? What will I not try because of fear? Every day, it's really worth looking at that, because that is really fertile territory, to look for opportunities to make little teeny tiny steps of growth, little teeny tiny steps of making something better today than it was yesterday, making little teeny tiny steps to show up today as a better example of yourself, a truer representation of your true self than the day before. And that's really cool because yesterday is yesterday, right? Yesterday is the past. So we can always take a step forward in the present. But the question is, what's your motivation to do that? That's another important thing to look at. What's my motivation for even bothering? I get that all the time. Mike, why do you bother with all this stuff? You're supposed to be retired. You know, you worked 45 years. You and Maybeth worked hard and saved and did all these things. And you're supposed to retire and you're supposed to relax. Well, I can't relax. I can't relax knowing I have something that somebody else needs or something that could help somebody else. I'm really trying to relax. I'm trying to make time each day to shut everything off and just be, and cut days out of my schedule. I've cut Saturdays out. I've cut half of Sunday, and I'm in the process of cutting Fridays out. Maybe that's turning like, what? That's not what I see. I am. I'm doing it. I'm doing it little by little on my calendar. I'll show you my calendar when I get back next week. So anyway, I'm gonna invite you all to join in this discussion here, and maybe we can start with what are some of your values that inspire you to keep moving forward and keep trying to find little steps to grow and expand your ability to make a difference. I already told you mine. Let's hear from some of you. Okay, Carol.
Me? Oh, okay. Well, it's interesting while you're talking because I'm thinking about, what's been happening for me in the last week. And so I went to a funeral last Saturday. I went to a celebration of life this morning, and I'll be going to another one soon. So, what is life showing me here? And these are not old people, they're like my age and under, 10 years younger. So I guess that's sort of what's going around in my head. Like, what is life showing me?
And the fact that you could celebrate that it wasn't you. So there's something.
Yeah. It's in my circle.
Yeah. Maybeth, when we were taking care of Maybeth's mom, she was in her 90s and she had a whole, cookbook full of health problems. And, it was getting towards that final year. And, she used to read the obituaries every morning. Right. And so I used to come to the kitchen table when she was reading, and I'd peek over her shoulder, and every morning I'd ask her, am I in there today? And she would look at me and she'd shake her head. I said, oh, good. But that is, one of the key steps in the 9 steps is that gratitude, right? And we talk about getting to the point of having that gratitude where if I open my eyes in the morning, I start my gratitude list, right? I'm grateful I opened my eyes. I'm grateful I'm alive. I'm grateful I'm breathing. I'm grateful I have Maybeth next to me and the 2 puppies, and I'm in a house. And I just go through that list. And we can celebrate the lives of those who have graduated, but we can also celebrate that if we're still here, we can make an impact with being here. We can make a difference in whatever small way we choose. But it's important we find those small ways every day to make our impact. right? Even if it's just a smile to someone in the grocery store, or, you know, sending somebody a thoughtful email or note or whatever it is, being grateful, that you're still here. So thank you, Carol. Robin. So nice to see you, Robin.
Hey.
Hey.
So for me, helping people connect, connecting to their worlds inside and out. I am most comfortable doing it via the physical, but it would seem that spirit's wanting a different approach. So I'm trying to be open to that. But that's what really gets me excited, is like when you can see a light going off in somebody, or a spark happening, that makes everything worthwhile.
Well, and you do it so well. You've done it so well your entire career, and you're doing it so well in all of the volunteer things that you're doing, and all the next steps that you're doing, and looking for your next adventure of connecting and impacting others. So very grateful that you're there connecting people. And
interestingly enough, I had pulled this up from the basement before I even knew what your topic was today, because I felt like it's the saying that what would you do if you knew you could not fail? And it's my things from my time at the Olympic Training Center. And it's just like, I need, it was in my office, but I need it in my boardroom. So I brought it up today, and then you brought this on. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, the synchronicity of it is it's very powerful. I don't pick these topics a week before or 2 days before. I get up in the morning and I ask, so what do you want to talk about today? And this is what came out. Somebody had mentioned a podcast, and I was listening to it, and I said, yeah, this is real important stuff. The world puts enough pressure on us. We don't need to put even more pressure on us. What we want to do is take that energy, and instead of creating pressure, create fuel for lifting ourselves up, right? Not pressure to push us down. There's plenty of that out there. So, tonight is all about, finding those things that lift us up, and ways that we can just plan a little teeny weeny thing each day to create that momentum. So thank you, Robin. Bridget. Please unmute.
Yes.
There you go.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah. One of the things that makes me get up in the morning and want to go is I like to tell stories. I love telling stories. And I do a lot of it in person workshops, writing reports, doing this for community, doing that for another community, and basically sharing life's stories especially with young people, because I've done it throughout when I was in the school system and so on and so forth. And so right now I'm raising grandchildren, or at least I'm helping to raise grandchildren, and they go to school or to camp or whatever, and they get in trouble, and I sit down and we talk about things and tell stories, and in the end, oh, I'm feeling much better now, Grandma. That's one thing. And so what lights me up is when I can sit up, make the time and write things down, write stories down for posterity or for whomever that it would help. And that gets me going too. With regard to gratitude, as Mike was saying, My last name in my language is Ubochi Ajonjo. And that basically means that any day you wake up is not a bad day. In other words, gratitude. Be grateful for each day you wake up and open your eyes. And I do that regularly, even when I'm seeing my grandkids off to bed. We go through the list of what are you grateful for today. And you know how kids get get mischievous, and they say, well, I'm grateful that Amadi didn't beat up so and so today, kind of thing. I'm grateful for mom, dad, I have toys, I have this, I have a house, I have a scooter, I have a bike. They go through their bucket list, and they go through the gratitude for their spiritual guide, and so on and so forth. And when I see that, and I said to them, okay, before you go to bed, remember to invite your spiritual guide or your God or whatever, and ask him or her to help you get along in the school or in the playground. So things like that keep me young, quote unquote, and keep my mind. I heard when you were talking about neuroplasticity there. And because I'm around young children a lot, I think that helps me a lot because I have a reason to wake up. I'm driving them to school. I'm taking them here. We're going to the park. So there's never a dull moment. And those are the things that help me. So sometimes when I'm feeling down or I haven't accomplished a particular personal goal, some of which I'm struggling with right now, I think of the steps. I appreciate this particular topic today because it's telling me that even if it's a little step you take, appreciate it and be grateful for it and move on. Don't look back and start saying, well, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, but keep on moving. And this is where I love the dream journal that you have for us, the Goal Mastery Journal. I love that. I love that. I use it all the time. Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a powerful superpower. The ability to tell stories and fire the imagination and inspire others. Not only is that a rich part of your culture, but it is an important tool for our own unfoldment and our own contributions to the world, is to be able to share our experiences. It doesn't have to be, a TED Talk award-winning presentation. It doesn't have to be an Emmy Award TV show level, just something simple with a lot of love that fires someone's imagination and inspires them to look at life differently. And that's one of the good things about social media, in that it's an opportunity, if we use it properly, it's an opportunity for us to inspire, tell our stories that might enrich and inspire other people's lives. So thank you, Bridget. Let's see, Nancy, and then Larry and Leah.
Yeah, I really like what Bridget was saying. Mine that came to me right now is I like to give people hope. And it's not just hope based on like random. It's based on my own experience of creating something that I never thought was possible, and then holding that space for someone else. And it can be it can be a close family member, it can be in my spiritual path, it can be a friend. And then what really inspires me to do more is to try and go beyond what I thought was imaginable. And then I'm going to be greater vessel for helping them create something that they might not be able to imagine, just because I know it's possible. And it's very inspiring and fun to do that. And I find that then people are sort of just drawn to me. to call me up or talk to me or whatever. And there's always something to learn about being non-judgmental or going beyond my own limitation, and just keep opening up to the limitless. And I find that, all of us have been through difficult times. And then when people see that we're happy, that we've created things that they didn't think were possible through those difficult times, it gives them hope. And it's like what you were saying, like that inspiration keeps happening. And I'm on a karaoke app and I sing with other people on there. And it's the same idea. I want to uplift to the best of my ability by uplifting myself and just showing that anything's possible. And it's really fun and motivating, I guess. And then I run into my next barrier or fear, and then I'm inspired to keep going through that. If that, I'm hoping that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense and exciting. And it's exciting that you see how fears pop up as barriers to provide you an opportunity to evolve and be able to move through them. And the gift is how you've evolved and how you've inspired others who watch you move through the problem or the challenge or the fear, right? As I dive deeper and deeper into quantum physics and the whole energetic metaphysics of the universe, because I'm just fascinated by it. When we break one boundary, when we break free of one boundary, be it physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, it's like an atomic reaction. The old versions of atomic weapons, they would split an atom, right? They used usually an atom of uranium, and they would split that atom. And the splitting of the atom created this massive release of energy, thousands and thousands and thousands of times more powerful than the biggest bombs that were ever made, right? And then they found a way of splitting a hydrogen atom, and that was an even bigger, right, release of energy. Well, we see these things in the physical and we say, oh, that's incredible, the energy from splitting the thing. We don't realize when we break through an obstacle, when we solve a problem, when we overcome a fear, right? When we meet a challenge head on that has been holding us back 2 years, 5 years, our entire life, and we break through that, it's like splitting an atom, and it releases not only a massive amount of energy for yourself, that energy goes into the entire universe. Things start to change and reposition, and it changes everything just by overcoming that one little tiny barrier, that one limited viewpoint, that one judgment, that one thought pattern that was limiting us. When we break through that, it unleashes forces that we physically are not aware of. We can't look at it and measure it, but energetically it's massive. And I'm sure, Robin, you can echo that when somebody adjusts one part and puts one part of themselves into balance, it creates a chain reaction that releases energy throughout the body and throughout their environment and their families. And one little change can create a massive chain reaction. Am I right? Yeah. Does that make sense? So I'm saying this because I'm getting inspired by, talking about it and focusing on it, but I want you to be inspired about anytime you look at focusing on your strengths and your superpowers, facing a fear, facing a limitation and moving through it, you are releasing energy into your own body, your own mind, and your own world, your own community, and the universe. And life will take that energy and use it for good. See, we don't go through any challenge and problem alone. We go through it for ourselves and everybody else. just like Nancy was speaking about, everybody else who's affected by what happens to us and what we do with it. That step we take not only inspires us, but it inspires so many people we don't even realize, right? We don't even realize it. And that's why it's important not only to do it for ourselves, but to do it in recognition that if I take a step today to grow, if I change my attitude just a little bit today, if I take a problem or a challenge or a fear and I move through it, think about releasing the energy, when you break those bonds, you break those chains that held you back. When you break those chains, there's an explosive release of energy, as well as an explosive, augmentation of freedom. And freedom is an energy. It's an energy. So think about that. Larry and Leah, you're next. So you're going to want to unmute your, there you go.
Thanks, Mike. You were talking pretty much about what I wanted to say, I guess. What I've noticed lately is I'm becoming intensely curious about what happens under the covers when it comes to how these things get created. I've watched what's happened in my own personal life over the last year and realized that I didn't really create most of it, at least not consciously. And yet I go, well, if that's possible, what's possible when I focus? And that's been getting me up in the morning to face all sorts of stuff that I don't want to face, but I'm going, yeah, but look what's already happened. And it's that's what gets me going.
That's amazing and so valuable to bring that out to everyone and share that, because you're building a momentum, and that momentum is carrying you past a limitation that 2 years ago or 3 years ago would have stopped you from even wanting to move forward, right? And now you're curious and you're excited about maintaining your momentum, because it's now like the little kid, in the room full of poop. There's a pony here somewhere, and I'm going to find it, right? That excitement of holiday is here, my birthday is here, and what's the present that's hiding in the closet? Oh, they're not supposed to know. I know they hide presents in the closet, but what is it? What is the gift? What is that special thing that's going to happen? We start looking forward to the excitement that we ourselves create, the momentum that we ourselves create, the value that we create in harmony with the universe when we strive to take another little step every day forward, right? Great point, Larry. Thank you. Carol.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, Carol.
I'm so glad that you talked about boundaries.
Ooh, okay.
I was going to talk about compassion and to not take things personally. And,
Ooh,
and I think that's a part of it, but
yes.
the breaking free of a boundary was super big for me this week.
Yay, tell
Actually,
us.
I'm trying to recover from it actually. um, I've always had a hard time creating my own boundaries and not being managed by others.
Ooh,
So, what it took was, and what was the straw that broke the camel's back was my father is in hospice right now, and they've given him a few weeks. Now, we got emails um, from, like, I feel like Cinderella. I have three stepsisters, and the three stepsisters are managing when I could see my father and managing me. So I had to do, I have a lot of compassion because they like my father as well, right? And I can't take what how they're reacting and how they're dealing with this personally. But also, I had to stand up for myself and not be the doormat. and just say, I would like to spend time with my father as often as I want, as often as I can, and et cetera, et cetera, and have some alone time with him too, because there's always somebody else with him, and I haven't been alone with him yet. And I would like to have that opportunity before he crosses over. And, I felt a little bad about asserting myself that way because I'm not used to it. It feels kind of odd not being of service and letting everybody, you know, do what they need to do too. So anyway, um, taking that and just breaking free and stating that. And the thing that made me cry was that my brother emailed me. He said, I feel the same way, etc., etc. My little brother did the same thing, sent me an email. I feel the same way. So we're all feeling it. So that ripple effect really did go out to everybody. And I don't, I feel so liberated and so free about going into that hospice room and being with him and just feeling all that love and that gratitude of being able to do that and to be able to kiss and hug him and let him talk and just be, without all of that other stuff, taking it personally with the other stuff. I know they have their things, but I had to say something. And it is kind of like a bomb going through the family. I haven't heard from anybody yet on the other side, but those are stepsisters. And I'm Cinderella, and my Prince Charming was finding my voice, if I wanted to put it that way. Yeah,
A
my
beautiful
turn.
story. Go ahead, continue.
I think I said everything that I could without having to repeat myself. Sometimes, you know.
Well, you know that our love and support is with you and your family and your dad as he gets ready to graduate and take his next step. But you couldn't have told a better story illustrating what we've been trying to talk about tonight about, that liberation that comes from, finding our voice, finding our genius, finding our superpowers, and doing what is uncomfortable, right? But that's the only way growth happens. Growth never happens from just laying around in your comfort zone. Growth happens from coming face to face with what's uncomfortable, what we're afraid of doing, what we really don't want to do, but we have to do if we want the freedom that comes with breaking through and doing that uncomfortable action. So, great story, great illustration. I love the fact that you were able to see how when you broke through that barrier, you opened the door for your other siblings, because remember, you were doing it not just for yourself. It's almost like you soul, here's their pain, here's their frustration. And because you're someone who is willing to step up, you're the one who gets to open the door. First in your own consciousness, and then opening the door to allow them to feel empowered, to show their voice and voice their needs and their desires, right? We often lose control of our lives because we've given that control over to others subconsciously. And sometimes it's not so subtly, but we don't lose our independence without us giving our power over to others a little bit. And it's never too late to take that back, right? Take ownership of our lives, our choices, our superpowers, our joy, what makes us happy. It's never too late to set our goals, on getting that back and making each day a little bit better, a little bit happier. Each day we're a little stronger, or a little smarter. Each day we're a little more confident, we have a little more hopeful. You can make a big list of little things that you could focus on that make your life and the lives of others around you better. And then, like Bridget, you can tell your story. And wherever and whatever form that takes, once you've been through that, you have a story to tell, and there are people waiting to hear it, waiting to be inspired the way you were inspired, waiting to be encouraged to face those limitations and challenges, some that others have created and many that we have created for ourselves. And that's okay. It's okay that we tie our hands and feet up sometimes when we decide enough is enough and we want to break those chains, free our hands, free our feet, free our hearts, free our spirits to soar. When we do that, it unleashes incredible power and confidence in us, and it uplifts others around us. Anyone else want to share anything that we've related to what we talked about?
Michael, at some point, I think I referenced, our energy and the consciousness of our group and what we move in and out of. It's really true union. We're connecting on a level that we don't even really recognize yet. But isn't it interesting that when we do get together, all of a sudden, the things that are at the forefront of our life are now being presented and being provided an insight into exactly where we are and what it is that we are currently working on. And of course, tonight is a perfect example of that. But particularly if I have someone, something that in my life, what makes it special is that I have other people that I'm hearing from, and they need this. And that I'm grateful because I can be there, be present, and be involved in a level of gratitude and happiness by being able to afford them through my experiences, what I've learned, and how I can serve them. The phone just rang, and it was a guy saying the same thing, just saying the same thing to me. He said, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you being there. And it takes me to a different place every time I hear that, because I'm in a different place, and so are they. So
thank you, Randy. And it's so powerful and so important, to hear what you're talking about, for all of us to recognize, the energy, the time, the love, the commitment you all have put in over the last couple of years. And you've been putting in time and commitment for decades, in your personal growth and your spiritual growth. But, to focus on certain specific things for a very specific result is creating massive change and improvement, and it is affecting others. And people come to you, people are drawn to you for that very purpose. I had a perfect example. I just announced, maybe a month ago, I'm getting ready to launch a new program for people who've been in the realm of healthcare. And that means all kinds of healthcare. It means, people in Western medicine, holistic medicine, energy medicine, doctors, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, everyone and anyone who is in the field of helping others with their health in one way, shape, or form. I'm creating a program, I've created a program and launching it to take them step by step through what I've been through to create a thought leadership platform for themselves. And, Robin has been a part of that, and Samarit has been a part of that, and Jocelyn is a client and a part of that. And many of you have been touched by pieces of it, but this is now a formal program. It's got a curriculum, coursework. These people will be going through everything that I've created, plus very focused coaching on building their platform, building their voice, their platform, their focus, their subject, their courses, their books. I have people who will write books for people now. I have people who will help them get published. I have people who will do video, edit video, and do social media work. And all of those pieces are in place now. And I just, was just, making progress, towards my launch date. And I got a call this weekend from somebody who had heard about what I was doing and said, hey, my partner and I really want to get involved with this. Can we have a call this week? I haven't even advertised it much. I've mentioned it a little bit in social media, but it's getting the momentum and the energy is getting to the point where we're getting closer and closer to launching. And now as I break through my, imposter syndrome, I had to write a new biography. And I went back to the 1970s when I was involved in working with doctors and hospitals and rehabilitation, physical therapists and rehabilitation counselors and universities and companies to take people who were having physical limitation and retrain them and put them into brand new, incredible jobs, right? It was creating a revolution at that time around the world. And I looked at helping, phase of my life, I was helping police and fire and ambulance be able to go through the traffic intersections and change the lights green so they wouldn't run a red light and get into an accident. They would get there faster. And I was helping bring holistic and really futuristic medicine and equipment and creating nutritional supplements and things that were cutting edge and getting these doctors and inventors on TV and radio and then eventually on internet. And I was doing all of these things, but I had not seen myself as a pioneer in raising the consciousness in healthcare. And what I'm trying to do in this new business, the new part of my business, is to change people from being in healthcare to health caring, and change them from being a practitioner to being a thought leader. And it's a whole new paradigm. And that energy, as I'm really focusing in and I'm getting pages done on the new, website, and I'm getting my video together, the script for that, I'm getting all of this stuff done. Every time I take a step, one thing I get done, it releases this energy and it goes out and it touches people. And another conversation, happened this week about some potential, working together with people who have access to a lot of doctors who could really benefit from this. So it's just my example of how, as you start creating a momentum and you face a wall and you say, I'm either going to go through this or I'm going to go around it or I'm going to climb over it, but I'm not going to allow my fear of being an imposter, my fear of, well, maybe people aren't going to want to work with me, right? Because I don't have a white coat, right? Or all of those things that pop up, but you move through them. And as soon as you move through them, it opens up, releases energy, and it opens up opportunities. And it'll continue to happen for all of us when we keep moving forward, right?
Right. That's great, Mike. I'd like to follow up with you on that, by the way.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Randy. Anyone else?
It's Carol again. We've heard everyone speak except Maybeth.
I'm glad it was you who said that and not me. Mabesy, you had a very busy week with some amazing connections. You want to talk about it?
In terms of perfectionism?
No, in terms of, making progress in any way, shape, or form.
No, anything.
Um,
Oh.
Well, I did something that I've never done before with someone who's a perfectionist who was kind of telling me what I was going to do. And, she asked me to come up with the topic. And the topic that came up for me was creativity. And she's the queen of creativity. She's written books about it. And there I was doing this thing on creativity. And I couldn't believe that I found myself in that situation. But I just decided, I'm not going to be graded. If I'm that bad, she'll take over. So I did that and I got through it. I taught a class on emotions. I found out with that, one little thing about emotions that gets into perfectionism is that my perfectionism started when I was a child. And my mother used to constantly tell me, it's more important to grades aren't as important as the kind of person you are. That's what's really important. So, what that said to me is I'm stupid. So that's kind of, I just decided that I couldn't be perfect with grades, but I could be perfect in other things. And I just modeled myself after my mother. And it just got to the point where I shied away from doing anything that required grades. I got through college taking classes that allowed me to write papers and not take tests, except in not economics, but something I did pass fail. And the professor felt so bad for me, he passed me. So, but yeah, that's, I don't know what else I've done. It was a busy week. I'm taking a new class now. I'm saying, go for it.
And you were given 1 day's notice to step in and become an MC at a conference.
On a Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night, the biggest night of the program. And you stepped up and you knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's true.
You were amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Personal
Thank you.
opinion.
Thank you.
And you could have just stood up there and said absolutely nothing. And the fact that you stepped up with 1 day's notice to the biggest night of the conference, and you showed up, you stepped up, you showed up, you stepped up, and you delivered, right? You didn't have to say anything, and that would have inspired people. So that's a win, and embrace it, give yourself credit for it, and use it for momentum for the next one, because you know it's going to happen all the time. You know, once you start getting out of your comfort zone and doing stuff you're not comfortable at or don't have confidence, and you start doing it, and then people see you doing it, they start to expect you're going to do it, and life itself will keep calling you to do what's uncomfortable until you either say, you know what, it's comfortable now, or you know what, I don't care about being uncomfortable. I care about being and showing up as the best version of myself I can. More importantly, I care about what can I do to contribute
And grow.
and grow. And that's what you did. You
Right.
stepped up, you contributed, and you grew from it. And so did everybody else who knows you and saw you do it and said,
And don't be surprised if when you step up there, it's like, who said all that? By the time you come out, you won't even believe the kind of knowledge that came rushing in that helped you to pull that period through and bring in so much wisdom and succor for people that are listening. When you go back, you say, what did I really do that? And when you get a call to say that was awesome, you said, oh, okay, thank you. So yeah, keep up
Thank
the
you.
good work.
Thank you. And one last thing. I said yes a lot, and I also don't feel bad about saying no. If it's something I don't want to do, that's not going to give me a growth opportunity, I'm going to say no.
and feel good about it.
And feel good about it.
Say-
And for me, that's progress.
That's progress for anyone and everyone, right? We have that right. We have that right to do what's good for us and what's good for others, right? We have the right to say yes and no because we are in charge, right? We want to be cause in our life, and being cause means making those decisions and feeling like we have the right to do it, because we do. We're empowered to make decisions on how we live our life. And you look around the world today, and every day there's more and more opportunities for us to give up our power to others, to give our choices up to others, more and more opportunities for us to allow others to tell us what to do, what to think, and how to feel and act. It's really important we continue to be cause in our life and connect with the source of life, inspiration, spirit, whatever you want to call it, deepen that connection, and keep us being the ones who make the decisions about what directions we take, how we grow, how we live, how we interact with others. It's really important that we do that. So I applaud all of you for taking those steps, this week, today, whenever. Keep going, keep shining, keep doing what you're doing. It'll make your life better, and it'll make the world a better place. And I appreciate that. I love you all. Grateful that you joined me kind of last minute notice on today, letting you know we were going to do a live event, but I'm glad that you came. And have a great evening and a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.